All right, I think it's going live. I'm waiting for the preview and live. There we go. Woohoo! I think it's working. All right. I was slightly unprepared for this. Weird. Okay, now I'm understanding how the live thing works. Apparently, I sat here like an idiot for a second. I wish this was better. I got to get better at it, or maybe I'm not understanding something, but hey, whatever. That's done. That's done. That's stupid, and that's closed. So now I've got all the channels pulled up. I'm pulling up a couple things to talk about. Actually, what did I title this even? Cloud outages. That's a good place to start. We're going to read through some cloud outage talk because it's kind of fascinating. Where'd that? I tweeted it, so I'm looking for my tweet right now. Sometimes Twitter is not only a place for me to post things to share, but they're the way I figure out things and what I was doing, what I was thinking at the moment. Where did it go? Here we go. There we go. Big old Google outage. Me smaller. There we go. Google Cloud Dashboard Status. This was actually a pretty cool read for any of you that are geeks that care about any of these things. This page provides status information on the services that are part of Google Cloud Platform. Go right down to the issue summary. On Sunday, 2nd of June, 2019, Google Cloud projects running services multiple U.S. regions experienced elevated packet loss as a result of network congestion for a duration of between 3 hours and 19 minutes and 4 hours and 25 minutes. And they go on from there. Now, this is actually really something I like that Google did here. And I wish more companies were more transparent, because the kind of answers you generally get from them is going to be, just many companies are like this: it broke, we fixed it. What are you gonna do to happen again? We fixed the thing. It won't happen again, and you just don't get a lot of debrief. Now, it's also very interesting because when you're at the scale of Google, Azure, Amazon, when you're the cutting edge, a lot of people poke at them, but the other reality of what they're doing is kind of interesting. When you're this big of a company, the scale is not quite unimaginable, but compared to running a few servers in your office, substantially bigger. And I like what they worded one of the things in here when I was reading through this. Root cause, this was a major outage in both scope and duration, as is always the case in such instances. Multiple failures combined to amplify the impact. With any physical data center location, Google's machines are segregated into multiple logical clusters to have their own dedicated cluster management software, providing resilience to failure of any individual cluster manager. Google's network control plane runs under control of different instances on the same management software in any single location. Again, multiple instances of that cluster management are used so that any failure of individual instance has no impact on capacity. So they actually walk you through each step of the way of this. And this is the thing I kind of highlighted when I tweeted: 2 normally benign misconfigurations and a specific software bug combined to initiate the outage. And this is one of those scalability things that when you're at the cutting edge, you're obviously putting a lot into it. You're being as careful as possible, but 2 little benign incidents that the resilience system should have picked up if either one of those, but combine those 2 with a minor push on a bug at the same time, and you have a several hour outage. But they walk through every little step of their defense in depth on here, what happens, and it's just great. And Google, when they do things public like this, they're actually telling you how they learn from this experience. And that's actually, to me, a huge thing when it comes to technology, is sharing going through that experience of everything that went wrong and how you made it wrong, unwronged it. That's even really a word, but it's how you brought it back all the way to the other side to making it work again. That's not for me. Let me mute my phone. Actually, let me turn my phone off by exiting out of all the things on my phone. There we go. That will make my phone quieter. Problem is, I always forget to turn it back on, and then I'm like, oh, look, I got missed calls. Hey, from Livonia. Livonia, Michigan, I'll assume, Eddie. So, awesome. Hello from fellow Michiganders. But this was really cool. Like I said, I can read through every little detail of it, but I tweeted this out. It's on my Twitter account. They walk you through all the details and everything that happened, and it's really cool. These are the things that we really want to see, and it's just a really cool breakdown. And I hope by example, by the biggest companies out there, such as Google, doing this, we see smaller companies following suit, that they also go, hey, let's break down exactly what happened here. Let's talk about the details of it. No one likes to talk about an outage. No one likes to ever admit they had one, but we know what happened. So, yeah. So, hey, Brett, what's up? We got to do some business videos, Brett. So, the other part that's related, and this was just an aggravation for everyone, it felt like in Michigan. I'm not exactly sure. And I didn't look because now it's been a day. Comcast outage in the news. There's too many in here. But yesterday, man, it was about an hour. Comcast took a crap. And I don't mean kind of. I mean, like, they were down. And, we're in Detroit area, and they were down for at least a big part of the Detroit area. So we had customers everywhere. So calling us, and that was like, well, it's one of those things. To have a lot of customers and people say, do you get a lot of phone calls? Generally, no. But when a massive percentage of them have Comcast, because it's the only internet available to them, and it's a good fit for a lot of small businesses, and whammo, Comcast goes out, the phone won't stop ringing. So it was a big, big problem. Any experiences with OS Nexus or Quantro NAS system? Nope. No familiar with it. Here's the problem. Everyone asks me about all these random NAS tools, and I'm like, hey, cool. If I don't have a reason to use it, especially a lot of these aren't open source. So I don't know. I have to have a real good reason to even use it. So it's not open source. It's one of those one-offs or whatever, free trial. Yeah, commercial product. What does it do that I can't get with, something like FreeNAS? So, anyways, please fix the OVA file for MediaWiki. Can't use that file in ESXi after converting it. I have no idea why you can't use it in ESXi. I've had people tell me that. I've had people say it worked fine. I don't have ESXi. I don't plan to set it up to figure that out. It's a standard open virtualization format. The fact that ESXi has chosen not to follow the open virtualization format, I don't know what to tell you. Boot it up in something that's not ESXi. I don't have another real solution for ESXi problems. I had an ESXi server I had to work on the other day. I was aggravated because for no reason it just wouldn't work. So let's see. Oh, thank you, Thomas Morris. Hey, have some beer tokens. Also, terrible Wi-Fi interference. Can't connect from 2 meters from UAP. Late bad. What do you do? No other Wi-Fi networks nearby coming from something else. Yeah, it might be. That would be really weird that you can't even connect from 2 meters. I don't know what would be causing it. So that's definitely odd. Actually, did someone else throw money? It says, oh, cool. Okay. Oh, I see. It's conversion. I see different numbers in one spot of the screen than the other. But no, that I don't know what would cause that much interference to cause that problem. That would be terrible amount of interference. So I don't have an idea exactly what would be causing that, Thomas. Not sure. That's definitely odd because even with a high interference, you can generally still get a Wi-Fi signal to go through quite well. So, what hypervisor will it work on? OVA files work perfectly fine in both VirtualBox, so you can use VirtualBox. I did it specifically in Zen Server, so it works in Zen Server and VirtualBox. No problem with either of those. I might have actually done that OVA file in VirtualBox, but Zen Server has no problem with it. So, yeah, ESXi isn't booting. Installed XCPNG. Close the call. Fun times. So yeah, good luck, Thomas. That's a crazy amount of interference. That's odd. I hate to say it, but maybe you have a bad AP or something. I don't know. Yeah, microwaves happen to work. If you're trying to connect it to 2.4, microwaves do work. Oh, another thought too. You can. Let's see if I got one, and I'll drag the screen over here. I gotta get client stuff out of the way. Let me see if we can do this real quick. Go to log into our test site. I think there's one plugged into our test site that I can log into. Let me look. There is. Drag that over here. And you can go through then our tools. Right, here we go, scan. You can put these in a scan mode and they will scan the area to tell you what's going on. So it takes a few minutes to do. So we'll leave this here while I babble on about stuff. So that might be part of your problem. Microwaves do definitely cause problems as well. I forget how long this takes to run, but it takes a little bit. But you can put it in scan mode, try to scan what's in your RF environment, and figure out what might be causing some of the problems. Have I tested the SG3100 micro SIM as a failover? No. I don't understand that question. Let's see, what else we got? About 2.5 hours, I got a $691 payment from one of my clients. Awesome. Love my content. Thank you very much. Just trying to read and catch up with everybody here. For context, more than one AP, every AP in a building affected APs, different buildings, and same controller is fine. Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely a problem. I don't know what the cause, but there's not. Yeah, there's not much interference we are seeing here. Oh, it's still in scanning mode. It still says RF scanning, so like I said, I'll leave it here to do this for a little while, see what it finds by us. If you compile Zen Orchestra yourself, will you get the full functionality? Sure can. That's what this is here. Community edition. The other one's the paid edition. I do videos with both. You are using XO from sources. That's great for personal nonprofit usage. If you're a company, you better use our Appliance plus Pro support included in ESXi Outage, blah, blah, blah. So yes, full functionality right here. I can do everything inside of here, and this is the one I compiled myself, but it won't auto update, so each time you have to recompile it. So yep, I have a video on that. If you type in XO, I have a whole video on how to compile it, how to set it up, and how to get it going. So that's definitely not a problem there. What else we got? The scanning is still going on. Cool. All right, it's still RF scanning. I know you're enthused about captive portals, but have you messed with it? Packet fence for a NAC solution? No, it's neat. I haven't had the time or anyone ask for it, so no one's asked for it. If you haven't familiar with packet fence, it looks pretty cool. It's basically the whole concept of being able to completely and fully trusted open source network access control, and it's kind of neat because you can push each person to exactly where they're supposed to go to and lock it down. I still have to do a video, and it's on my to-do list to use FreeRadius to do this, so you can just lock everything down by MAC on FreeRadius. So that's another way to do it, where you just have to send there, but this is another tool that you can use as well for doing this, and it's kind of novel looking. Like I said, I haven't really dug into it. It's they have a Zen virtual machine. That's interesting. Hey, look, virtual appliance. Probably doesn't work in ESXi. Probably has problems because, ESXi doesn't care about standards, right? I don't know. I'm just picking on people. I've had problems for that. The ESXi is fine as far as running. I will admit to having problems importing things. So that's cool. Yeah, analyze an antenna, go hunting. That's sometimes the reality of it. You have problems and interference like that. It can be a real headache to sort out. No easy answer for that. Close down packet fence. Close down that. I think I answered all those questions. Cool. All right. Yeah, ESXi is better than Zen. If you say so. I think Zen's better. I don't know. Fight me. There are more ESXi installations, maybe, than Zen. That depends if you talk about Citrix or XCP-ng or Zen Server itself. There's different products. If you talked about Zen Server, then Zen Server definitely has more installs than ESXi, and I bring that up just because it's still what runs most of Amazon, not Citrix Zen Server, not XCP-ng, but the Zen hypervisor is what is being run in majority of Amazon's data center. So that alone, without knowing the exact numbers, yeah, is going to be, that alone puts it at a massively higher number. So that's definitely going to throw the numbers out there. But I don't know. Here's the other thing, and I've always not liked this argument in general when you talk about numbers. If you were to look at the numbers, does that mean McDonald's, because they sell the most, has the best hamburger, or they just happen to sell the most hamburgers? It's not the same thing. Just because they sold a lot of them doesn't make it good. So that's kind of that's a whole different debate and kind of a pointless one at that. Let's see. My next port of the call, find someone with a spare Spectrum analyzer. I think you can probably rent them. Yeah, the Amazon stuff. Amazon's been running Zen for a long time, so. My understanding is a micro SIM is supposed to be there, so you can use LTE data as a dual WAN failover ISP connection. I am completely unaware of that. I don't think, though, it's not in their documentation. So if you can link me to that, I will try to validate it. But yeah, I don't think that the micro SIM on those is made for LTE failover inside of pfSense. We can look one up real quick, but I don't see anything in the documentation about that. So let's look at the gateway appliance. Technical storage, USB. There's nothing. Flexibility upgrade options such as M2 SATA. They have an L2 cellular upgrade option. Where do you get it? Where does it go? I took it apart. I mean, I guess you could get one, but I didn't. The micro SIM on it isn't, let me look here. Any USB, network interfaces, storage, onboard. Yeah, nothing. Like, they mention it, but I don't know where you would plug this in at on these devices. So the LTE cellular, if I'm not mistaken, because it doesn't, when I opened it up, I didn't see any spot with a whole cell interface on there. So you need an additional modem in there to make it work. Like, you have to get the card for it. So, and I don't know that they offered it because, by the way, this is an ARM-based device, so that becomes a different issue in terms of that, because it being ARM-based, you have to find an ARM-supported one on there. So, storage, USA, community. Yeah, I don't. If I just don't see it. Storage, memory, expansion. Yeah, it's got the sockets for it right here. 2 M2B key sockets. So you'd have to get the socket part to go in there. So, anyways. Yeah, additional modem to make it work. Hypervisor aside, VMware's product is more robust for enterprises. We use it on top of NetApp for replication DR. You can do the same thing with Zen Server. What makes it more robust? Matter of fact, I did a whole video on this particular topic, because if you go to they have a write-up on it, and I've covered this. They've got all this stuff in here, so they've got the same features: file over store, continuous replication, load balancing. All these features are in here, so it's one of those. They're on parity when it comes to features. They do have full high availability, live VM migration. So I'm not sure what, I guess here's the question. What feature makes it more robust versus ESXi? So maybe that's what I'm looking for. Anyways, and in terms of failover, your SD-WAN solutions, I'll get on that topic a little bit. So, yeah. So respect for the Zen, really do have an architect ESXi. One with Zen, I like them both. Yeah, but you're saying it's more robust, and okay. So my always answer is, what feature is it missing? What is the killer feature that VMware has that XCP doesn't that makes it better for enterprise? The license fee? I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm asking. Anyways, before we get too far off topic, one of the things you can look at, and we'll pull up something like a Cradlepoint. And I'm going to do like an SD-WAN video to get some explainers, because a lot of people get confused about this. So, Cradlepoint makes a couple of these really cool specialized devices, and I'm just bringing them up. There's other companies out. There's another one that eludes me that makes a little bit cheaper one. But one of the things that you want to look at when you're doing failover, and I did the failover video, and hey, cool, you can get 2 ISPs, you can do failover. But when you go a step further and put an SD-WAN solution, it's much better because it doesn't break in the same way. So your failover becomes more seamless if you go with a full SD-WAN solution, such as one of these. And what this does is it tunnels all your connections through the SD-WAN. So it bonds together, it's a service that you pay for, but it means there's no service disruption when this happens. And obviously that's huge. So this can happen without a service disruption in SD-WAN. Maybe I'm going to make a specific explainer video and get one of the devices and show how that works, and how you can use something like that for failover. So it'd be a little bit more robust. VD502 client tool. I'm bad with names and numbers. We've reviewed this. We do like this. We have a review of this. Is definitely a nice tool. We just got in, but I have not tested it yet, the Ideal Networks one. So oops. It's called the PoE Pro. We just got this in. So we're going to be doing a review of this product because, now granted, the client's going to be a whole lot less expensive. But this does what the client does. Plus, if you do a lot of PoE, this is the part we really care about with this, is it supports the different PoE standards and tests them, and can load test it, not just tell you the wattage, it can load test for the wattage. And we're really thinking this is a pretty cool feature here, because being able to go through, and it's got the features, it's got all the different connectors, so you have some of the same pieces like you do with the other one, but being able to actually load test the PoE to tell you at the cable end how many watts is getting there. Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's definitely a huge thing. What is a DRS feature? I see you're asking about DRS. I don't know what that means. Disaster recoveries? Full test without affecting production. I don't, you have to describe that. So yeah, DRS is great. Cool. Whatever magic it is. I guess I could Google it. But yeah, we're looking at, though, we're going to be doing some testing. I have some videos I'll probably do the next couple days on this one. So the Scout, we've been happy with the client tool. This is just something more advanced. This does more. So ESXi Outage. It's a collection of hosts associated with virtual machines that share resource, shared management interface where you can obtain benefits of the most creative. So yes, it does HA clusters. So I guess I have to understand the feature parity of that. So I will say yeah. Show something that VMware has that Zen doesn't. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, you can do distributed resources. You can load balance and push virtual machines to the resources needed. That's part of a system that's in there. So, see, is this thing done scanning? Connected. We didn't find any interference. That's interesting. There's not much interference in our office, though. So this was not the most useful of scans. It didn't find any problems in any of the channels. I wonder if it has a better scanner. Is there any other tool? Oh, there it is. It just took a second to refresh. So there we go. Yeah, so here's the Wi-Fi interference in our office as picked up by this device, which is just next to none. We're looking at really, really minimal amounts of interference in here. And the same with the 5G. Minimal. Nothing out here in the 160 channel. So nothing in the red for us. Nothing bad at all in terms of interference. So you can, like I said, you can use these for Wi-Fi interference testing, and they can look and see what's around them and see if that's what's causing a problem with it. Yeah, whichever one your company works with, that's a good point. That's what I tell people. And the same thing when I'm got some when I do my new virtual lab video, one of the things I like to preface that with is going to be really simple. If you're building your own virtual lab, you're building your test lab out, if you plan to be an ESXi engineer because that's the job, or your company has got an entire infrastructure built on it, or the job you plan to apply for is that, then you may as well go with the job that you're going with, learning the software based on the job you're going to get. That's a huge difference. So that's that's part of the big deal on there. Let's see. Yeah, there's ways you can do that with yeah, VMware's free for hobbyists. That's true. Anyways, I did recently a disaster recovery video show you how you can do real-time incremental replication and disaster recovery with Zen server. So that's definitely something that was covered on there. Let's jump to the next topic that I was going to talk about. So MSP versus project versus break fix. I don't understand sometimes. Well, maybe I do. So we have both. We're a mixed bag. And one of the reasons we stay that way is because you can have some fairly reasonable money made from projects. The good and bad about project-based money. And the challenge you really run into with project-based is making sure that the projects keep coming in. Because one of my jokes I always say when I bring up this to people or do any consulting, payroll's due on Friday. Payroll's due every Friday. And every month I pay out for my SolarWinds and other bills that I have related to software we buy, Huntress Labs, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all recurring things that constantly have to be paid. So a lot of people want that MSP model because they're going, hey, I get recurring revenue all the time, and getting recurring revenue means I can consistently pay those consistent bills that keep coming up, because payroll's due on Friday. So that is a great reason to go MSP, and why some places want to go MSP only, but the project and the break fix stuff is actually really nice. We bid a lot of projects, and it gets us in there. We talked to a client who later became an MSP client, and I get it from their perspective. They keep hearing these companies come in there and go, hey, you just want to come in and do a project for them, because they're not ready for giving you a monthly contract. So that's one of the reasons we really like the project side, because we've run into that where they got sick of doing, calling IT companies. Each IT company that came in there was like, oh yeah, no problem. We'll do this, but right here's the monthly contract. Here's a 1-year agreement, And you're like, no, we're not. We want to date a little first. We're not ready to marry you. We're not ready to, sign our life up and agree to this marriage certificate. We want to see if you're actually a reputable, competent company. And you can make the argument of, well, we have an SLA, and if we don't fulfill our SLA, blah, 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 we'll switch. Well, that's still a pain in the butt from doing that. So it's kind of I understand from a business standpoint, from not the IT side, but from the other business owners, they've been burned before. That's usually why they're switching IT. They're not switching IT because they're happy about whoever they were using or whoever set up their network. They're looking for someone else, but they're very timid. They're going, I want that. So they're not ready to sign for that next. They break up one bad relationship. They're not ready for another potential bad relationship. So there's that hesitation they have to do that. So it is a great way to describe it because they're just, especially they're gun shy when they go, man, that last guy was awful. That last IT company didn't answer the calls, didn't return them. And what you do is once you provide them really good service, and we do always offer them, you come back and revisit them after a project going, hey, you're happy with the project? We did everything right. Oh yeah. And the customer says they're happy. Cool. Here's the bills you're going to see from us. Here's the discounted rate for projects if you're on a plan. And also we can be more proactive when we're on a plan. So you have an opportunity to engage and sell them, but you got to impress them first. You got to woo them a little bit, talk them into doing this. So that's, yeah, beer and water money for Mo. We'll be live. Well, we're going to be live later on tonight at 7:30 with how they got hacked. FYI, that's happening today, not tomorrow. Today, so because I got other stuff I have to be doing tomorrow. So, but this is one of the reasons we go back and forth about that. So, actually, it looks like things might be changed. Just got a message from Xavier. So, let's see. Message me. We may not be doing how they got hacked. We may be doing it Sunday. Anyways, it may not be changing. I just literally, you guys said something, I said something, and now I got a message from Xavier about when we may have to reschedule. And there we go. Sorry, just trying to make it all happen. He can't make 7:30. He said, "Can you do 8?" So I'm in real time messaging happen. You guys are seeing actually how I work. Somewhat disorganized. Back to being on topic before I got distracted. But this is one of the important aspects of it is you want to be able to offer them and prove yourself to be on there. We do it at a higher rate, so there's also that can be kind of nice. We charge more for people that are off contract that are not MSP. Because even with the MSP, we do a hybrid approach. We don't do the all you can eat, which means one flat price for everything. And no matter what you ask me for, everything's in scope. No, that can be a headache to do. So we don't do it that way. We find it to be a happier balance when it's kind of like, hey, this is what's in scope. This is what's out of scope. We have an understanding. But our in scope, rate is, our out of scope rate is this, and it's a lot less than if you didn't have contract, and we're being proactive. So everybody, gets on the same page on that. So just because you become a client doesn't mean you can also do extra projects outside of scope as a consultant and tell them what they need. For instance, avoid projects outside monthly maintenance. Yeah, exactly. That's a whole lot of things that are very good points, because there is always having that relationship when you know their network, when you know their equipment and everything else. That helps quite a bit. So you already have that insight, which also makes it easier to bid something because you're not spending a lot of research time. Once you're a client or on the MSP side, projects are a lot easier. There's less thoughts that have to go into planning because you have, all their stuff labeled, inventoried, and ready. You're like, oh yeah, I know the spec of all your machines. I know what they can handle. I know what's in your infrastructure versus, blind bids are always a pain in the butt to start. Oh, man. Yeah, let me know when you're in town so we can go configure some servers. Let's see. What do you think about encrypting traffic between or behind a reverse proxy? Is it really necessary? I guess it depends on what's in between there. I encrypt all the things. But yeah, if I think what you're asking is, let's say, and we'll use pfSense as an example, you have pfSense as a reverse proxy. You're wanting to know, should I also encrypt the traffic that goes from pfSense to those individual devices? Well, I would encourage that all the traffic's encrypted at every step of the way. That way, if there's ever someone that gains access as man in the middle, this is that assumed breach, as we've mentioned before. When you operate under assumed breach, that means exactly what it sounds. Someone's already on the inside. So you don't want any spot where they could be listening to whatever the traffic is. We have our internal network, even though it's locked down internal on our network where my computer is versus a network where our secure servers are. all that's encrypted. I don't take exception to it. It's not that hard to do. It's an extra layer. So anything you go on inside of our network, I didn't bother with the non-encrypted ports. That's why you get these sometimes SSL warnings, because I didn't bother setting up as reverse proxy, but encrypt everything. Yeah, just self-signed certs are fine. There's nothing wrong with a self-signed cert, using it internally like that between the reverse proxy and that server. So that's not really a big deal to do it that way. Definitely an option. But encrypt everything. Just operate under assumed breach. It's that much better, because one of the things you're always trying to prevent with security in the layers of it is lateral movement. You want to stop lateral movement. So if they find a way into your network, you want to make sure they can't move laterally through it. They can't find another server that they pivot from. This is why we keep everything on separate networks as much as possible. This is why you'll take in less secure devices that could be, attack points like printers and things like that. And maybe you left a weak password on a printer. You'll take those a step further and say, hey, lock those down. They can't talk to things. Things can talk to them, put rules around them and things like that. Those are the, those extra steps that you may want to take to keep that from happening. And just because my computer is on this side of the firewall doesn't mean my computer shouldn't itself be firewalled. Matter of fact, nothing connects to my computer. It shouldn't. So why would I not want the firewall turned on my computer? And let's go a step further than that. Why not take all the services and do full filtering on the firewall? So what ports do I need open? Implicitly open those ports, close the rest. And just because there's no service running on that port, what if something starts running on that port? What if, you add a service to it, you didn't check, and it binds not to localhost, but it also binds to the other IP address, and you forgot to firewall it. So the other side is it can create more troubleshooting. When you do bind a service on there, you have to remember, I have a firewall in this, and I have to implicitly allow each one of those ports. So both sides are concerns on that. Swinging back over to the break fix a little bit more is there are some risks that come with break fix, and one of them is I'm not even going to pull it up right now, but it's maybe its own. Okay, Xavier messaged back. Sounds like it's not going to happen tonight. All right. So the other side of this is if you have an issue and when it comes to cash flow with break fix, especially when you get into the bigger projects. Even though we got quite a bit down for some of the projects, I had to hire several contractors for a recent project. And that has resulted in several months now, 2 months in a row on my profit and loss sheet of substantial losses for the company. There's substantial losses now because I am very upfront. I pay all my vendors upfront. I make sure all of them got their money. That's an important aspect to me. Vendors came out, they did all the work, and so all of them got paid. So every contractor, all the equipment rentals, all the materials we bought, all of that's paid. But paying them, up on this, all right? Paying them obviously creates a problem because now all the money is gone and I'm waiting on payment from the big project. So you have to be able to float that money to have enough money in the bank so you can keep taking losses if this happens. And there's obviously certain ways to mitigate it, but as you get to the bigger projects, people don't always pay in 30 days. So that's a... yeah, Xavier doesn't care about peer pressure or that. You're right on both counts. I will tell you, Xavier does not care about peer pressure. I don't need to even ask him about that. I've known him long enough to tell you he doesn't care. So he's got a work thing that's going on. So that's not. It sounds like it's not going to happen until Sunday. So I'll have to cancel it for tonight and move it to Sunday. I can't do that now because I'm on this live stream. After this live stream, I'll go do that and make that happen. So that's the thing. Anyways, so these are some of the concerns that you get into if you go into a project and break fix. You got to make sure you have enough money to float this. So when you're doing any of the resource planning, going, all right, it's going to cost me this much. Don't expect payment for up to 60 days or whatever those terms and conditions are. But you know that your vendors, they have terms and conditions as well. So maybe their terms are 30 days. So now you have the next 60 days. And depending on how all that lands, or if someone delays payment again on you, like one company is right now, you have to be able to float that. So this is like the argument against it. But if you manage it, it works out really well. And like I said, it can be quite lucrative in terms of profits on there. So that's kind of my rant about that. What are some of the other questions people might have for this? So I've been rambling on for a little while. We talked about Wi-Fi. We argued about Zen server, ESXi, and which server would beat up whose server. How do I handle company checking? We have a couple bank accounts, just out of not wanting to keep all my eggs in one basket, type thing. So we have a couple bank accounts, and we keep a balance in them. That balance allows us to absorb losses. That balance allows us to make purchases, things. You know, one of the challenges you can run into is when you get a big project that requires a big deposit. The deposit may not clear right away, but you need to buy the hardware right away. And I can trust that these companies, their checks aren't going to bounce, but it may take several days for a $60,000, $80,000 check to clear. So while we're waiting on some of the money to clear, we still have to buy it. So just keeping a bank balance is actually just the easiest solution. You can get lines of credit and things like that. The downside about a line of credit is a line of credit eats away at your bottom line because you have to pay interest rates on that. So not having a line of credit can help quite a bit. Let's see. And I do outsource payroll, FYI. How about this? PFSense installed on a PC, i5, 8 gig RAM, 10 gig SCP, great trunk port on UniFi SFP port. Sure, you can do that. That works. You can definitely do 10 gig with an SFP, and the 48 port UniFi does have an SFP Plus for 10 gig on it. By the way, the 24 port does not, but the 48 port does. Details. Someone did have, there's an interesting discussion someone had too, that on the UniFi, let me switch this over to a different site, put it to my office. On this one, the 10 gig. Now, I thought this was odd. Someone was wrong. They tried to say that the ports are shared. They're not, but not the way the person thought. The person said if one of these ports goes down to 1 gig, all of them do. And I said, no, it doesn't work that way. You can mix them. Second, where there is a level of sharing is the even and odd ports. So if the even ports run on one ASIC chip, the odd ones run on another. So there is a certain limitation that you'll hit if you tried them all plugged into even or all plugged into odd at the same time and tried each one talking. There are some limitations, and UniFi has that documented from their engineers. It's a kind of a deep dive of technicalness, and it's an edge case of trying to get 10 gig out of every port simultaneously between any two ports. You'd have to alternate them to make it work, is what it came down to. And it's rare that all ports are going to be saturated at 10 gig all the time. So yes, good for paying vendors. Makes them happy. Makes them like working with me. Pay your vendors. Let's see. Aruba is coming out with some stuff that I believe is supposed to compete with Ubiquiti. Yeah, right. I seen it. I seen the post on it. They still completely use their cloud dashboard with their fees attached to it, and all these companies with these cloud dashboards that are proprietary raise their fees at random. So, speaking of Zen, have you tried the ExoSAN? No, I haven't had time to look into ExoSAN. It looks neat though. R7, yeah, build your own if you're looking for something less power hungry. The one downside, a lot of the enterprise equipment kind of power hungry because of the redundancies in it. Building your own can be a lot less power hungry methodology of doing it. Have you used the Synology Virtual Machine Manager? Cool, but hardware seems a little unpowered for that. Yeah, the Synology Virtual Machine Manager on their base models is not going to be super powerful, but as you step up to higher end Synologies, it becomes a little bit more worth it. It's a slick system. Yeah, R610s are a little bit lower power. True. Synology's too expensive for what you get. That's a matter of opinion. It's a pretty nice system. We do like the Synologies. So I'm going to be doing a video soon on a Synology along with a bunch of cameras and walk through the whole setup of it. It's being installed right now as we speak. So I'll be doing a video on that pretty soon. I have a separate Unraid NAS for storage. Yeah, Unraid works fine for NAS storage. Yeah, Xeon servers, Supermicro. Like I said, there's some low-powered self-built options as well. I'm going to be covering some of those videos, like building it versus buying or getting a used server. There's definitely some wattage advantages you can get with the lower end servers. Let's see, what do we got here? Looking for a powerful hypervisor hardware that's not going to be a house payment, but it's still a beast. Yeah, I think probably the new Ryzen are going to be. I want to do a Ryzen hypervisor build as a test because I think it'd be, one, worthy of a test. Two, all them cores in the new lineup they have are outstanding, and they're not that power hungry. So I think that's going to be where there's, obviously when you go to the Rome series, the AMD's Enterprise line, you get even better efficiencies in terms of, everything else. But of course that comes at a higher price. But we look at like a home user in a home lab building it out with a Ryzen, you're not using enterprise equipment, but I think it's going to be more than good enough, and obviously not going to break the bank in terms of price and wattage. So when it's idling, it should idle pretty good. There is a way you compile EXO-SAN without a license. I've never, like I said, haven't used it. So yes, I see Michael DeCio asking the same question, or I'm sorry, I'm probably saying your name wrong. Sorry. But yeah, I will probably look at some of the Ryzen ones. They are, like I said, they're in the right price range, and I haven't done any testing with it, but I plan to. I'm going to do a Ryzen test as for a hypervisor with XCP and G. I'm sure it should work fine. I've had people say it worked fine. I've never validated this myself. Do you know how to use free Slack for your instant messaging and tasks, or do you run your own email server? Do you pay hosted? We're using G Suite. Everything's G Suite. We use a G Suite chat, G Suite email, G Suite services. So I did a stress test on ESXi ran 10.10.2 port 3 4345. Read about 320 gigs. Okay. Probably get with a cheap processor for a home lab. Not enough RAM is where you start to have issues. Yeah, it really comes down to RAM. Is once you go to a newer system with DDR4, prices are coming down. But yeah, it's gonna be becoming a bigger expense. So just use an old desktop as an old i7 or something other. Yeah, I have an i7 laying in the lab right now with that's got a whole story behind it. So. DSUCO. Oh, okay. DSUCO. I'm still bad at pronouncing that. I think you are absolutely correct, and I think I'm bad at pronouncing things. We'll just leave it at that. So Tom is not good at enunciations. I realized too, I got some firmware updates to push. I pushed them to the Wi-Fi, but I didn't push them to the switches yet. I guess I could push the studio one right now. Update the studio. I don't know what they're doing in it though. They might actually be testing something. Well, there's a lot of things plugged into it. A lot more than I expected. They're probably doing something in the office. They were programming Wi-Fi units in it, so. Temperature 72. That seems hot. What's 72C2? It's not too hot. It's this switch. I'm sure this one. 63C. Okay, not too bad. Okay. Got it. I don't recommend the So someone asked me about this the other day. Someone's like, hey, do you recommend the I forget which one it was, but it was one of the Edge switches, and they're having problems with VPN. I'm like, yeah, a lot. They were upset because it requires so much manual configuration. I'm like, I wish Unify made better routers in general, their Edge line or their USGs. Both of them just are kind of weak. They're not bad, but I don't recommend them at all. So I dropped a Linus video for Tom's videos a long time ago. He was just so much more useful information. Oh, thank you. So, are you going to be using the 2000 or 3000 series? I don't know. We'll see what the budget allows. I'm not big enough YouTuber, apparently. I don't have the right connections to where they just mail me these chips. So, if they're willing to just send it to me, oh yeah, I'll build it with all kinds of cool stuff. But because I pay for it out of pocket, not so much. That's a different problem then. Do I upgrade firmware often? Oh yeah, everything gets updated all the time. All the firmware. Matter of fact, we probably push it more to our clients faster than we do to some of ours. But this is very recent, so that's why this isn't up to date on a couple of these. So, yeah, Linus. Well, you got to pay the bills, and Linus is not. Only way Linus pays the bills is through those ads. That's why he does it. You know, Linus has been doing it a long time. He's got quite a machine going there, so. He's more of that tech and entertainment combination, and he covers a lot more consumer stuff. So Linus doesn't really do as much of the enterprise things there. They have really nice camera gear and everything else, but they are not doing as much enterprise stuff. So, how low cheap can you go with a firewall box router for home lab stuff? Chokes at gigabit on the LAN, WAN, gigabit ISP. How low? You can go really low. I think if you look at my FreeNAS build, I showed that it routes at gigabit, and it's a really low-powered, old motherboard. Like, it's crap. And that's one of the things about it. It doesn't take a ton of horsepower. And even someone pointed out, like with the SG3100, it does not have a high-end processor in it. That processor is not that fast, but it runs at gigabit speed. The SG3100 can handle it. And matter of fact, you're getting like 700 megs out of the SG1100. That's only a $159 complete router. So, you know, it doesn't really take a ton. It only starts taking a lot with Suricata and some of those things if you have to do a lot of packet processing. And those things do take a little bit more. Let's see. What about the Unified Dream Machine? I don't know about that. I looked at it. I don't know. They are coming out with new products. You can check out their beta store. That's all I'll say. Thin client works great for you can run it on a pretty low powered machine. Thin client, that included. You send in the reports only if they ask for it. No one ever asks. I think there's this myth that there's going to be exceptions. Of course, you've got that one person who likes to see it. I got one guy who really likes his backup reports sent to him, so we do, which is fine. But then most of the time, business owners are busy and they don't care. I know I can give you perspective on it from my side. I'm a business owner. Do you know what I don't care about? I'm sure there's some fancy report that, you know, the lawn people will just throw an example out there who maintain, and I pay them to maintain things like the parking lot. They could probably give me reports and tell me how many ounces or pounds of salt or whatever they put out to salt the parking lot and everything else. I don't care. I just want to know how much, and that it's done. And a lot of times you got to remember, we're geeks. We're excited about computers and dashboards and fanciness. They're going, I have a business. You provide a service / tooling to allow my employees to do things. I don't need reports. I need to know that all the stuff works for them and that we're protected. But it's not like they need all these inventory reports or even care. They don't even think about it. They're not thinking about the new Ryzen processor coming out. They're hoping you're doing that for them, but they don't need to know the details. They just need to know that you are providing the things that their company needs to get work done. So those reports are not something clients really ask for that often, almost ever. I can barely think of any that do. So it's not something that comes up that often. Yeah, let's see. Catching up on it. Any solution that you recommend for update management? We use SolarWinds is how we handle update management in terms of how we're handling it for all of our Windows customers that we're managing and watching. The SolarWinds Update Manager works for that. The Linux ones are all on unattended upgrades. Anything Linux server gets unattended automated upgrades. That's how that works. So if you go and pull up our forums, so this is our forum server, and oh, there's actually something here to update, so I'll say yes. But even on our forum server, this is all done because we have unattended upgrades running, so it automatically is always keeping these up to date. I caught it when it didn't load something. But any type of security updates, actually it's set to security only is probably why I did this. This wasn't a security update. So it automatically loads them. I don't have time or I don't want to be lagging behind any updates, I should say. So we have this all set to automatically update on any of our Linux stuff. Oh, this is a Blue Yeti for people wondering about the microphone. Yeah, reports are like for enterprise people who want to just talk about stuff. Like people like dashboards. Have you been successful in port mirroring all ports instead of a one-to-one port mirror? Never tried. Yeah, bureaucrats love reports. There is no doubt about that. Makes them happy. Close all that. What else we got? What other questions do we have? It's about to get a little noisy because right there on the side of this wall is a Zumba class that starts in 15 minutes. So there's going to be some music playing. Yeah, that's a whole different topic of Zabbix showing things off because of that. But yeah. Hey, look, can you tell when I started the stream? Last hour. So I've been streaming for about an hour. So yeah, here's the stream for streaming an hour. Pretty neat. I like Zabbix. Zabbix is cool for monitoring things. Whoops, actually, my head's in the way. Can't. There you go. Now you can see the stream. There we go. Did you stop at the hot sauce testing videos? Yeah, I just haven't done any in a while. We probably should do a couple of them. We've bought so many more hot sauces. We still love hot sauce. We just haven't really done any videos on it. Do you keep piles of business-related papers you can keep or just scan and destroy? Oh, I destroy everything. I get rid of anything, probably more than I should. I try to get rid of paper all the time. Yeah, someone pointed out my face is in the way. Get my head out of the way. Actually, I'll move my head over here now. But, yeah, you tell which network my computer's on? Anyways, I try to destroy, I hate paper, so I try to destroy all of it. Get rid of it all. I don't want any paper anywhere. Could I do a video on 10 gig connection and who really needs it? I've done videos on 10 gig connection. I don't know who really needs it. So, yeah. What bitrate do I stream with? Whatever the default is in OBS. I honestly don't know. I don't know if I can even open the settings during a live stream without breaking something. So I'm not going to do that. I've done a video on Zabbix for anyone wondering as well. So this helps watch all the different servers, what they're doing, which is pretty much, this is 0.3. So pretty much nothing's under any load at all at any given moment. It just looks really cool because it's the way it's scaled, but nothing's actually really loaded up inside of here. All of our systems sit pretty there. I did the video today on this FreeNAS and backups and cloud sync tasks and everything else. So I've got this video as well, which I got to disable and delete all these. There's a bunch of crap happening that doesn't need to be happening. So now that the video's done, I can delete everything. I also didn't mention, but this is a complaint in FreeNAS, is the fact that all these things, whoops, delete, confirm, all these things in here don't save. So if I refresh the page or log out and log in, all the columns don't save between log out and log in, which is kind of annoying. You figured it would save it, but yeah, whatever. It's not like you spend a lot of time in here, so it wasn't the biggest problem for me. You know what I mean? So how hard is sub Zabbix? It's a lot of work. I think I cover it in my video on some of the setup of it and getting started with Zabbix, but it's an in-depth product. And that's one of those things when you look at some of these open source products like Zabbix or any of these, the setup is big because that's what you're paying for, is higher and higher levels of automation when you buy a product that's more turnkey. That turnkey comes at the price of, they put an entire big team together to get it deployed, stand it up, and make it happen. Therefore, that's where a lot of that money goes to get you on some of those other products. With open source, I mean, Zabbix is fairly turnkey, but there's still a lot to it that you have to do in setting things up. Yeah. 10G, Linus Tech Experts, got it all covered. He does a good job on the 10G stuff. Yeah. May only get a line down notification rather than 320 server down notifications. Oh, yeah. I've got so I don't know if I have anything specifically on update management for SolarWinds, but I mean it's part of the product. You just sign up for a demo on it. We use it; it works. I've done videos and reviews on SolarWinds. I've covered it in a couple different times, so yeah. Have I ever seen the Dark Crystal? Yeah, I know they got a part 2 coming out of that. I seen it a long time ago. I'm old enough to have watched it when it came out. So, is there anything else before the Zumba lady starts making all kinds of noise over there? And thank you very much for all of you that threw money at me. That is greatly appreciated. We also have affiliate links. I'll throw that out there. We have forums for people that didn't know. I'm bringing that up because we get people who still feel compelled to just randomly email me and seem appalled that I charge money for my services. And I remind them we have forums they can post. And they rarely seem to post, or at least I don't see new people sign up and post the same question in a forum. I don't try to associate it much more than that. So it's actually getting pretty warm in my office too, as I got the door closed. There's not enough air circulation here with the door closed. It's almost kind of sort of summer here at the office right now. We're getting here in Detroit, slowly but surely. It just rains all the time. So if nobody has anything else, please post more questions if you have them in the forums. I don't even see if there's anything new in here. Whoops. Forums, or are you .lawrencesystems.com. Hey, look, no new forums posts, but I try to answer all the questions in here. I try to stay very active. You can see there is a lot of posts in here and a lot of replies. You click on this Lawrence guy. 3 hours ago is last post. Will it show everything I did? Invites, preferences. Oh, activity. There we go. These are all the replies I have for things. So I try to reply to most everything that I have an opinion or a comment or a suggestion on, but there's more people in the forums on there as well. So yeah, I really try to answer all the questions. So I'm in the groundwork of doing business plan for an MSP startup. What's your biggest challenge when starting? Still a challenge. Clients in getting all the clients is still always a challenge. Landing them, and the next challenge you run into is staffing. Make sure that you find the right people to work with. It's a challenge right now after 16 years in business. Every time we hire, it's just not an easy thing to do to find people you can trust that work well. So, have I dealt with Zoho? Yeah, I've seen it, but the problem comes down to it's still not G Suite. So it's G Suite's just way better in terms of like full featured and everything else. So it's not bad. I know people have used it. They said they liked it, but cool. G Suite just works, and in terms of getting emails to people, G Suite works really, really good for that. So, oh, when did I start hacking? Man, forever ago, lock picking, everything else. I've been doing it since I was a kid. I soldered together and built things. When I used to hack CBs together and VHF and UHF radios to listen to things. So I've been doing it forever. I had a shortwave radio when I was probably like, I don't know, 11 that I found in a garbage. So forever. Have you done a video on transferring files over SSH? Just type SCP, the file name, and away it goes. Never done a specific video on it, so not really. Not a video on it, but it's not something I didn't know if it was video worthy. 10C in Norway. Oh, a little colder out there. Yeah, Dark Crystal's old, someone pointed out. But transferring files, I mean, maybe I should do some videos on things like tmux, because this is tmux. So this is my computer. This is the Discord server. And then I can go, I need another window and split it over here, and we can SSH to the Unify. So, I mean, I got my head in the way, I know, but maybe I should do some videos on this. I've recommended Jay. He's had plenty of videos he's done, but in terms of like copying files, actually, thing in here, it's interesting. I don't think anything. Keywoods. All you have to do to copy files is virus database to, and then I could copy it just like that and send a file over there. So it's not like a big deal to be able to move files around via. I do it all the time, so that's why I don't always know what people are looking for videos. So do I have a Backblaze backup? We sure do. We have a lot of it. We just did a video on it, and I think people maybe be interested in a Backblaze video. There's a question. Like if I just did a video about how bucket storage works and things like that, well, that might be an interesting topic. I don't know. So that's a question. So yes, I do have Backblaze. What do we have here? KD is a TMUX type of thing for console next release. Interesting, but I just prefer TMUX. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm running KDE, if I'm running Mate or GNOME, apt get install TMUX. This is just part of the things I install when I set up my systems. Yeah, rsync over SSH is actually quite useful. Those are some of my backups that I use to copy things from my computer to another computer using rsync over SSH. So definitely that's a matter of fact, that's how we back up our UniFi system. It rsyncs over SSH to another server as the UniFi backup files are created every hour. So we have an hourly backup of our UniFi server. It's not hard to do. You just set up an rsync tool and tell it to go land somewhere and away you go. So definitely a great way to do it. How about a place to leave video suggestions? Forums. We have a forums for video suggestions. I have a specific. Here, I'll even do this. Paste. Make it more convenient. This is where people can have a discussion of things that they would like to see with there. So, and I've covered some of the topics. I talk about, if I have the video, sometimes I'll post it here when people ask, can you do this? I may have it, or sometimes people ask things that aren't possible, and I may comment on like a different way to do it. But yeah, I have a place for suggestions. So I'm barely ever on Discord. So, oh, someone's asking someone else. Thought you're asking me. Doesn't cost extra to have domains for. The G Suite doesn't either, but you can actually have, in case you're wondering, multiple domains tied to your G Suite, and they don't charge you extra for that either. So, but I guess it kind of depends on how you want things set up. Email reply all via emails and how that works. Yeah. Backblaze bucket backups would be very interesting. Backing up most. Does it say? Oh, critical files in the cloud is something missing in my backup strategy. Yeah, moving files is just type in SCP in the file name, so it just goes. I don't know, maybe I'll do some command line tutorials and getting started with the command line. That might be interesting. But it is what it is. What else we got to talk about? The Backblaze thing, though, if you watch, I actually talk a lot about Backblaze and how the bucket storage works with Backblaze in concert with pfSense. So that is definitely a topic, because when you do file storage with Cloud Sync and pfSense, it does not have revisions, but Backblaze does. So part of that last video I posted breaks down how the file revisioning occurs, provided you have it turned on. So maybe I will do a dive into like a Backblaze account and how that works in detail, so we can, kind of cover things on it and how to like set it up and everything else. So. My wife's asking me questions now. So. I don't know what she wants. She doesn't watch the live stream, in case you didn't know. That's how she doesn't know I'm live streaming. It sounds like how they got hacked is not happening tonight. So after I do this, I got to cancel it. Xavier says he cannot make it because he's not going to be out of work tonight. He's got some special project that work has him on. So it's not happening tonight. I'll have to cancel out that on the other channel. So if that's it, I'm going to jump off here. I have a few more things to go do, including canceling tonight's live show and figuring out what day we're going to reschedule it for. It's looking like Sunday. So maybe that even works out better for people if we do it on Sunday. I'll have to find out and ask Xavier how that's going to go. That's about it. Yeah, wife should ask in the chat. So I don't know. She's got some questions about something. I don't know what she's talking about. So I guess I'll have to look and read it all. What is she rambling about? She's complaining about stuff. All right. Well, I'm going to jump out of here. I hear them setting up. And when they start banging on the wall next door, I know that they're about to turn the loud music on that will then blend through. So I don't know what time Sunday. Follow me on Twitter. That's the best I can answer. So awesome. Hey, thanks. Hey, call Brett. Okay. I'm going to call Mr. Chittum Consulting. I have his number, so I'm going to dial that as I end this. What do I have on here? Oh, look at this. FreeNAS retweeting things. And in case you don't know, I try to, any of these streams, I've been trying to do this very good. Let me just drop a link in here. And it's this is all in there, but that's my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter if you want to see when I'm posting about stuff. I post when things are going to happen. I post when whatever. Actually, and I got to delete this post now. So delete tweet. Delete. It's going to be rescheduled. Whoops. So, but I do have a notification because it looks like FreeNAS tweeted this out. So yay! That's going to get tweeted. They tweeted me. So I try to post everything on Twitter and my forums. So those are the best ways to contact me. I am rarely ever on Discord, and I don't have my own channel. So I am Tom Lawrence Tech on Discord, but if you message me, I might get back with you in 1 to 3 weeks because I don't log in very often. I just don't use Discord enough. So it's like I don't do good with real-time chat. That because it means you want my time now, so I'm not always as responsive. When I come here, it's more concise. I have like time slots in my head of when I go into forums and do things. So I see something in the forums, cool. I go and I'll sit for like, X amount of time and just reply to everyone who left a message in the forums that needs my attention. I reply to all of it, and then I go back about what my other project was. I single-mindedly focus on things, and chat is much harder to do. So yeah. That's a little bit different. So, any problems with VLANs on pfSense with layer 2 switch? No, as long as you have a switch that understands VLANs, pfSense works fine with VLANs. So, no issues. That's the best way to describe it. Can't disagree with that. So, all right, have fun. I'm out. I have to turn this off before the music starts and it gets loud and annoying, and I get some stupid copyright strike for some stupid music she's playing. I don't want to deal with that. So I'm out. Have fun. Thank you, everyone who showed up and joined.